What's up, guys? Welcome to yet another episode of Science in 5 Minutes or Less. You should have also watched another video on solute, solvents, and solutions, but just to be clear, I wanted to go over it one more time because we're going to get into something a little more complicated in this video and in the next video after this, okay? So let's start. All right. What is a solute, a solvent, and a solution? Those are three vocabulary words that you're going to have to learn and that students confuse a lot. So let's start with an easy version of it, okay? So let me move this real quick. Okay, so we have a solute. A solute is just something that we put into something else. In this case, 90% of the time, it's going to be water. And then when you put that something into that something else, the solvent, we get a solution. And you can tell with your eyes if it's a solution or not for the most part, right? So let's say I give you, ignore this left side, just look at the right side. If I give you a glass filled with blue water, I would ask you, is that a solution? And you'd probably say yes. Or even if I just asked you, hey, is there something in that water? Again, you would answer yes, okay? Because you can logically think, okay, I know that water isn't blue, so that solution didn't get made by itself. So let's think backwards. So I must have put something in water, which is the solvent, and then that thing must have been blue, which is the solute. So now I really want to get into the definition of these things, right? A solute is the substance that dissolves in it. So whatever you take, salt, let's say that's blue sugar. If I take blue sugar and I put it inside, that's the solute. That's the stuff that when I put it in the water, it's going to spread out and it's going to dissolve, right? And the solvent, it's just the thing that accepts the, in this case, the sugar, the blue sugar, or the blue salt. Another way you can think about it is, let's say everybody loves Kool-Aid, right? Kool-Aid, the packets, those little packets, that's the solute, because that's the stuff you're going to put in the water. And then the solvent is the stuff that accepts the Kool-Aid, right? You're going to, the Kool-Aid is going to get in there. It's going to mix. And then at the end, you just get what we call a solution. So that's what a solute, a solvent, and a solution is. Okay? And most of the time, it's going to be like a little powdery thing. So don't worry too much about that. But that's a solute, a solvent, and a solution. Okay? Now, you guys can actually easily tell me whether something is a solution or not. So let's take the following example. Right? If you try to take the classic example of oil and water, you try to mix it, you stir it up, and you get this concoction. You can tell it's trying to mix itself, but if you leave it out for maybe 20, 30 seconds, eventually it'll kind of look like this thing on the right. And if I were to ask you, hey guys, is that a solution? Probably most of you could say, yeah, that doesn't look like a solution to me. That just looks like two separate things sitting on top of each other. And you're absolutely right. This would not be a solution. Oil would be on top, the water is at the bottom. Nothing is mixing, so they're not a solution, right? That could be maybe the oil is a solute, but then the water would be a solute, or they're both solvents, but they're not mixing in, so we can't say it's a solution, okay? Why does this happen? Why does oil and water not mix? We know that they don't mix, but why? Okay? And for right now, it's going to get kind of complicated, but I don't want to worry you too much for this video. It just has to do with the classic rule of will it dissolve? And then the classic explanation of like dissolves like. Okay? So I'm just going to read this real quick. A chemical will dissolve in a solvent if it is a similar structure. So what that's saying is, if it's alike, it will dissolve. If it's not alike, it's not going to dissolve. Okay? So in this case, we know that oil and water, they're not alike, so they don't dissolve. But we saw that this dissolved, so that means that this solute must have been like this solvent. So I'll do this. This alike, this is also like, so then it dissolves. This did not dissolve, so this is, let's just say they're just not the same. So they're not gonna dissolve.